My name is Vivix Tales, and welcome to Backlog Worthy, the series where I sit down and explain all the good and the bad about a game that I finally decided to play. This week, I'm here to talk about The Suicide of Rachel Foster, a mystery walking simulator by 101 Games. The game was released February 19th of 2020, and I grabbed it sometime in October of the same year from a humble monthly subscription. It seemed like an interesting enough game to warrant a playthrough, and I actually enjoyed it despite some of the things I did not like. Just a heads up, this is a review of the entire game, so there are spoilers throughout the video. You play as a young woman who goes back to her father's hotel in order to get everything ready so it can be sold. The Suicide of Rachel Foster tells a decent story, using the atmosphere as a way to help guide you through. You learn pretty early on, if not at the start of the game, that you used to come to this hotel as a young child with your parents. You also learn that a young girl, someone you used to hang out with during your various stays here, named Rachel Foster, committed suicide during the same time frame. With a snowstorm brewing outside, the building has lost connection to the outside world, and you are now forced to walk throughout this hotel in order to uncover what truly happened that night. The atmosphere is something you would see in a lot of games in the same ballpark as The Suicide of Rachel Foster, using noises and slight audio jump scares to help sell this story. One of my least favorite genres is horror. This game is nothing close to horror, but I ended up treating it like one. Sneaking around the building alone, with noises going on all around you, is not really a situation that I can find myself enjoying. The gameplay is nothing too special to write home about. You can really only walk and maybe run if you're lucky, while also interacting with your surroundings here and there. The times at which you can do this does help bring suspense into the story, which is needed for sometimes how slow the game is. Most of the time you are forced to walk throughout the old hotel. When you are able to run though, whether it is from some entity slamming doors behind you, or just trying to forget your past, it does help piece the story together kinda. The story was decent enough to keep me playing the entire time. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'll try to talk about the biggest points of the game. The Suicide of Rachel Foster talks about things that may make people uncomfortable. These topics would include, but are not limited to, suicide, murder, and pedophilia. Yes, you heard me right. Pedophilia. Here's my thing. I can understand a game talking about suicide and murder. Both I feel are some more common topics in story-driven games like this. Pedophilia, on the other hand, really came out from left field for me. The plot of the game pretty much goes like this. You are focused on your survival while the snowstorm is keeping you within this hotel that your father used to own. With the person who we will be getting back to on the other end of a phone, you begin to learn about the events that took place when you were just a kid. At first, it seemed that Rachel Foster jumped off of a cliff and took her own life. Throughout the next 4 hours of sitting and playing this game, you uncover a bit more than you most likely really wanted to. From finding a hidden room with mannequins posed throughout, to finding another hidden room, this time being decorated for a young girl, to uncovering the truth about Rachel Foster. You learn that the suicide of Rachel Foster isn't really a suicide. Your father began to have sexual relations with the young girl and gets pregnant, and your mother finds out, and as a result, your mother kills Rachel, who is only a few weeks pregnant at this point, and she also stuffs her dead body into the trunk of the car that is actually taking you to an event. You end the story by washing Rachel's blood off of a sheet that was in the trunk of the car used to transport her body. The person that was on the radio with you throughout the entire game was actually Rachel's brother, Irving. After getting the conclusion that he was trying to get, he walks out into the blizzard and ends up taking his own life. The atmosphere is something that I both liked and disliked, both for a different reason. It was a good idea to make it seem like you were truly alone in this hotel, sometimes. It was found out in the story that you were not actually alone, but Irving was in the hotel with you, just out of sight. There were times in the story where you could get a phone call from someone wanting you to delve deeper into the secret of this hotel, and times where Irving on the radio would try to help you find a way to feel safe. Traversing throughout this, what seemed to be huge hotel, alone, was eerie enough. Something that helped this eeriness was the music that accompanied it. The music helped carry the atmosphere of this game quite a bit, with certain songs playing when you enter a previously hidden room was a welcome surprise that honestly caught me off guard a time or two. This would sometimes make the game feel a bit overwhelming for me. Again, I'm not one for horror suspense, but I felt a lot of it during my time with the suicide of Rachel Foster. When walking throughout this hotel, it really felt like the old building it is. With every step, you could hear the cracks of the floorboards beneath your feet, or the whirling blizzard that's happening right outside the windows of the observatory. It all really helped to build the environment for your gameplay. With the suicide of Rachel Foster only being around 4 hours long, I would say it's a good time waster to just sit down and play. I can easily say that this game is a 6 out of 10 for me, but really only when it's on sale. With it having an historical low of $2.99, it's not that bad of a purchase. When it comes to buying the game for the normal price tag of $17.99, that's really on you if you want to pay that price or not.